this week on Retrospect Rewind. As we look back in time, we start in 1994 with students at Lloyd Comp learning about the jobs of the future.
For people attempting to jump into today's vast job market, there's a lot of options that should be considered. For example, where are the jobs in the future going to be found? And some of these questions were answered last night at Lloyd Composite High School.
The areas I would shy away from would be the labor-intensive type of jobs. With all the free trade agreements around the world, a lot of those occupations are going to go where the labor is cheaper. And that is going to mean less and less in that type of job probably in Canada, but we'll get more of the technology type jobs coming because of the education level that we have.
Halliday went on to say that the resource sector would decrease by 4% over the period of 1991 to 2005, with some of the areas projected to grow during this period being manufacturing by almost 12%, sales and service by 30%, natural and applied sciences by nearly 41%, and arts, culture, sports, and recreation by almost 45%. It should be noted, though, that a high percentage doesn't always mean a large increase in the number of jobs, because some of the sectors aren't currently very big, and it appears that some of the young people are ignoring these figures.
I think students these days are looking at what they really want to be instead of the trends. Even though the trends guide you toward what you should be, I think that students nowadays are going ahead with what they really want to do.
I think that you should just focus mainly on what we've always been good at, and keep your options open though, so that you do have a wide variety of options if what you're looking at just doesn't turn out the way you thought it would.
While some continue to follow their dreams, guidance counselor Alice Eagle says others are looking at the job trends and becoming creative when planning their futures.
They're choosing again a generic program, and they're saying, okay, I would like to take a certain area as my major, but it doesn't look good right now for job possibilities, so I will take it as a minor and I'll take something else that looks a bit better.
And students in Vermilion take part in a violence workshop in 1998.
It looks like just another regular day at St. Jerome's Catholic School in Vermilion, but the lectures and tests these students are getting have to do with life.
People need to know about this kind of stuff because it does go on and people are victimized and hurt because of it.
Around 100 students, grades 9 through 12, are taking part in a violence workshop. A recent survey of junior high and high school students at St. Jerome's shows they feel safe at school, but school officials decided to take some preventative measures anyway.
We thought if we educate the students from grades 9 to 12, there's less problems later on. I'd rather deal with it now than later after something has happened.
Bullying was one of the topics touched on today. Students watched a video and then talked about it. They also jumped into some role-playing with a few skits.
So far, at each workshop we hand out pamphlets to everybody, and we've only found one on the floor, and that's over 600 students that we've handed them out for, so that's pretty good.
Local Mountie Jim McDonald took a fun approach to give lessons on conflict resolution. Some of the comedic skits had the students laughing, but also made them stop and think.
It made me pay attention. Like, I learned more from that than I would from him just standing up there and telling us everything.
Other students sat in on lectures about dating violence and drug abuse. Leslie Buckham hopes the knowledge will stick with the students.
It's great that the schools are opening up and letting us come in and talk about this because it's just giving the kids some information on what to do with for the rest of their lives.
The Young Offenders Act has created a lot of negative publicity recently for teenagers, which they feel is unfair. Staff and students here at St. Jerome's are taking a proactive approach to help teens deal with their problems and prepare them for their future.
Coming up on Retrospect Rewind. The Sask Party is the dominant political force in the province, but in 1998, the party's first leadership race made a stop in Lloydminster. Welcome back to Retrospect Rewind. As we rewind back to 1994, then Alberta Premier Ralph Klein was in Lloydminster for a $100 a plate fundraising dinner.
Indeed, my critics get tired of hearing me say it, But we believe, and I'll say it again, that we have a spending problem in this province and not a revenue problem.
Federal voters may have turned their back on the Progressive Conservative Party, but PC support in northeastern Alberta is still strong. Almost 400 people paid $100 a plate to attend the first ever Premier's Dinner in the border city last night. Even though the event was a Tory fundraiser, some difficult questions were posed to the Premier.
If you keep on the restriction, which I approve, you're cutting the fat out the government, I approve 100%. But you cannot put the construction in a standstill. And that's my big concern.
Klein also took time out to criticize his competition.
As a matter of fact, you know, we don't need the NDs in this province anymore, because the Liberals are doing a far better job of being socialists than the NDs ever were. They really are.
Most of Klein's time, though, was spent defending his government's recent budget. The Premier says too much money is going towards administration and not to the classroom or hospital rooms where the money is really needed. He says his government's vision for a new Alberta involves more free enterprise with money going to people who will know how to use it effectively.
Moving from Alberta politics of the past to Saskatchewan, the Sask Party is the dominant political force in the province, but in 1998, the party's first leadership race made a stop in Lloydminster.
Three very different men, one common goal: to lead the party that many feel is the future of Saskatchewan. Yogi Hugabert, Rod Gantifor, and Elwin Hermanson are the men aiming to become the first leader of the Saskatchewan Party. Wednesday night, the three made a stop in Lloydminster for a public forum, speaking on their platforms and addressing concerns. Yogi Hugabert was the first to declare his candidacy. The retired fighter pilot turned rancher knows that when it comes to political experience, his opponents have the edge.
The leader, if he or she has excellent people surrounding them, it makes it much easier to be a leader, and then you don't have to be as knowledgeable on each and every affair because your good people around you advise you, and then when you get good advice, you can speak to those issues very freely and frankly.
Melfort-Tisdale MLA Rod Gantifor has been the opposition critic for a wide range of capacities, including health, finance, Crown investment, and economic development. Gantifor feels the Saskatchewan Party can do for the people of Saskatchewan what the NDP has not.
We've got to start believing in ourselves. We've got to deal with the issues that people are really saying are affecting their lives. And there are things like taxation, there are things like health care, there are things like education and roads and property tax. All the kinds of things that people have been saying that are really important to them.
Elwin Hermanson is a former Midwest Reform MP. After initially choosing not to seek the leadership role, Hermanson had a change of heart.
The quality of the people, you know, the sincerity of the people who asked me to consider running, and the support that seemed to be growing across the province changed my mind or made up my mind that I would in fact seek the leadership if there was that kind of support and see if we couldn't win the leadership and make a difference for Saskatchewan.
Which one of you feel that you can lead the next provincial party on a straight and true course for the everyday average working person and business person in Saskatchewan?
Those in attendance kept the candidates busy with questions, many to do with the future of Saskatchewan. One of the hottest topics, the continuing exodus of people out of the province.
I grew up in Saskatchewan. I left school 25 years ago. And it wasn't a question of where you're going to go or what you're going to do, is when are you going to leave.
The concern was addressed by all three candidates, and all felt the Saskatchewan Party would be able to solve this.
Saskatchewan is dying and being crushed under the tax load, and we're finding increasingly our people are leaving because of it. And we simply have to address that and stop it.
If you want Saskatchewan identity now, you go to Alberta because that's where most of the people are. But no, I don't think we would ever lose Saskatchewan identity. I mean, what are we in Saskatchewan? We're a mosaic of peoples. By creating jobs and getting more people in the province, there's no way that we can change a mosaic.
I see a Saskatchewan where young people want to stay home and make a good livelihood for themselves in the province, and where others who have left would be enticed to come back because they love Saskatchewan and they'd be very happy living here if they could make a decent living.
Whether the party will be able to attract people to the land of the living skies remains to be seen. But what is clear is that the people at Wednesday's forum want change, and they want the Saskatchewan Party to bring that change.
Coming up on Retrospect Rewind, The mild temperatures in 1998 leaves Lloydminster streets slushy. Welcome back to Retrospect Rewind. We start Retrospect this week in 1994 as Border City residents react to the feds lowering the tobacco tax.
It will now cost smokers less to keep up the habit. Today's move by the federal government to lower tobacco taxes by $5 per carton has many people across Canada fuming. Here in the Border City, anti-smoking groups and health officials are joining in criticizing the move.
So certainly the action today is totally counterproductive to the very thing that we're trying to promote. Healthy lifestyles, wellness. We are concerned with healthcare costs. I think this is a backward step.
They're trying to curb smuggling, and I know it's going to be very expensive to curb smuggling by using the police. But on the other hand, I think it might cause an increase in the consumption of cigarettes, especially the young people.
But the one group definitely not unhappy with today's move is young people. Of the mixed group of Border City residents asked, more than half said it will now be easier for teenagers to get cigarettes and get addicted to nicotine.
Yeah, well, because it's cheaper. They don't have to, their allowances will cover it this time.
It's better because I don't have a job anyway, so I can afford them better.
I think it'll increase, or not really encourage, but increase smoking, the amount smoked, for sure.
It'll encourage them to buy more often.
With just a few disagreeing.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I smoke as much as I smoke. I don't think the price, people say, well, when it gets to such and such a price, I'm going to quit, but nobody ever does.
It hasn't slowed me down when they've gone up. I mean, I've gone from the 85-cent a pack to $6.50 a pack cigarettes now, so I don't think that lowering them a little bit is going to encourage a whole bunch more.
I wouldn't smoke. Bad for your health.
As for the provinces, don't look for the Alberta government to follow suit. They are waiting it out. And Saskatchewan is dead against the move, saying it will only open up the way for more health problems in the future.
And the mild temperatures in 1998 leaves Lloydminster streets slushy.
No, it's not a small mountain. It's actually a rut on a residential street. The unseasonably mild January has turned hard-packed snow into slush. Driving around has become a chore on some roads, so city cleaning crews have sharpened their blades and are coming to the rescue. But first, they have to get parked cars out of their way, and that seems to be a major stumbling block.
Houses is not quite as bad. Apartments is very difficult to find owners. Some are in Regina or Saskatoon, and some more in Ontario, so it makes it really hard.
City crews are going around door to door giving advanced notices. The trucks started in the southwest corner of the city and are working to finish up to Highway 17 and 36th Street. The trucks are breaking a sweat in some areas where the snow is deep. They don't have a grader by their side this year.
Traditionally, in the past, when we did a residential snowplow, there was too much on the ground in order for the trucks to actually accomplish anything. But this year, it's a relatively small amount of snow, and the trucks are capable of handling it.
After the streets are done, it's up to residents to clean up their sidewalks and driveways. Some say that's okay and that the roads have been well kept all winter.
I think it's just fine. The city can't possibly get to everywhere at once, and they're doing an all right job.
As far as the amount of snow, it's probably as in the last 10 years is as little as snow as I've ever seen. And I guess you can't complain. Maybe other people can, but we sure can't.
Well, anyone who bought a snowblower this winter can complain.
Only used it twice. So, very expensive snowblower. But it'll come in handy in a few years, following years.
Coming up on Retrospect Rewind. Now moving ahead to 1998, a group of government, education, and industry reps simulate an emergency situation. Welcome back to Retrospect Rewind. We start our look back this week in 1994 with a Two Hills woman who alleges she suffered gender discrimination.
One driver's license, industrial first aid, BC ticket. They started reading that and they started laughing. That was the
Nora Wyman and her sister Marilyn think discrimination is no laughing matter. Last year, Marilyn applied for a job with the County of Two Hills as a heavy equipment operator. Two witnesses at a May council meeting say Marilyn's resume was laughed at because of her gender. They say one councillor thought it was so funny, he put his head down and pounded the table with his fist.
I worked long and hard to get that kind of a recommendation, and I don't think it's anything to be laughed at.
Marilyn says she is a victim of sex discrimination. The Alberta Human Rights Commission agrees with her. Today she asked council members to apologize for their actions.
I am seeking a verbal and a written apology from this council, and I would like your response to this request now, as I feel that you acted very unprofessionally.
But council denied the apology. Members say they will discuss the issue with the Alberta Human Rights Commission. They say they have done nothing wrong.
You don't think you owe this woman an apology?
There was no discrimination, and if you know better, proceed. Bye there. Goodbye.
Nancy Maresca says she was there when council made the comments last May.
These councillors, for them to circle their wagons like an old boys club and deny this woman an apology when now she has gone before them humbly and asked for an apology, they have shot themselves in the foot.
I get the impression that they don't think it's serious, that what they did, they don't take it as being serious, and I can't believe that they're acting the way they are.
Marilyn says she will talk things over with her supporters. She says she may take legal action against the county. She still wants an apology, but even she admits it may never come.
No, I don't think they will. Or if they do, it'll be under duress because I just won't leave them alone.
Now moving ahead to 1998, a group of government, education, and industry reps simulate an emergency situation.
This is a pilot project for Alberta. Two courses are running side by side. One is on emergency site management, the other a public information officer course.
And the purpose of tying public information into the crisis is to make sure that while they're responding, the public needs to know what's happening. And there's certain information needs to get out. Do not go near the center. Has a state of emergency been declared? Where can I get information? That sort of thing.
The class is a hodgepodge of emergency officials, college and industry reps, and municipal directors. By Friday, they will have gone through 3 major disaster exercises, all based on real-world scenarios. Everyone learns the different roles involved in these situations. Today's was a plane crash in the fictional town of Pavement Narrows.
Can you tell us about the site? Right now we're in the very early preliminary stages. We can confirm that an airliner has crashed in the Camp Rustic area.
This is just a simulation, but it's teaching these people how to deal with emergency situations all across Alberta. They even have simulated media.
Okay, thank you. Please hurry. Okay, thank you, thank you.
And everyone's playing along. These guys are concerned citizens demanding answers.
They answer, but they're not answering. What is going on? I'm telling you, my kid is out at that camp, and I'm really worried. You people said you'd phone me back, and you haven't phoned me back.
It is absolutely real. The palms of their hands are sweating. They're nervous. They are in the town of Pavement Narrows, and they have had an airplane crash. It's not simulation to them.
It's so real, the media was even kicked out of some places. Is there anything you can tell us about what's going on?
Gentlemen, please.
Can you tell us anything about the...
We can't right now. Thank you very much. We'll let you know at a conference.
As life throws in twists, we throw in twists, and typically of real events is the things that you have planned tend to go okay, the stuff you haven't spent a lot of time on planning tend to have some problems, and during events like major disasters, there's always something that comes up that you just haven't planned for and couldn't plan for.
After the course is over, the individuals can take the emergency plans back to their communities.
This has been our week in retrospect.